Today we're going to be reading some negative Elden Ring reviews. If anyone's curious as to where these reviews are coming from, they're coming from the user reviews over on Metacritic. From there, I just filtered out all the positive ones, so all we're seeing is the negatives, and yeah, this is going to be interesting. I zoomed in a bit so then you guys could actually see the reviews that I'm reading, and plus, you know, with these Asian eyes, I need all the help I can get. So the first one, we have a 4. I'm assuming that's like a 4 out of 10 coming from whoever this person is. I never was a huge fan of these games. Well, we're off to a great start. They can't even speak proper English and use proper grammar. I never was huge fan of these games, but this entry hit a new low with a undeserved hype around it. You have to traverse an uninteresting map. The graphics look pretty outdated and the characters are lackluster. Outdated? I had to pause for a second. Like, I was literally dumbfounded when I was reading. Like, my brain just had to, like, take a second to process that. Outdated? Are we looking at the same game here? Like, please look at these graphics and tell me that this looks outdated. How does this look bad? You reskin a lot of enemies. You know what? That is a fair point. There was way too many reskin bosses and enemies and such. And the combat gets real tedious real fast. Every fight feels the same. Did we even play the same game? I implore you, please go fight Margit, and then go fight Rykart, and then go fight Fire Giant, and then go fight Millennia, and tell me that those fights feel the same. The best of the Souls-like genre was definitely Bloodborne because it looked and felt somewhat unique. I'm gonna have to disagree with that. Saying that the best of the Souls-like genre was Bloodborne, I'm not saying Bloodborne's a bad game, but the best of the Souls-like genre? Are you sure about that? Can we please define what makes a Souls-like? Because I feel like there's a couple of things that could make a game be considered a Souls-like. For example, we have bonfires, the whole currency mechanic of you lose your currency when you die, but as long as you can get back to your currency before you die again, then you're able to reacquire it. Then you have like the different combat and build variety systems. So objectively speaking, if we take all of that into consideration, like everything that makes a Souls-like what it is, I'm not saying Elden Ring is my favorite because you guys have heard my piece many times on how I feel about Elden Ring. I'm not too hot on the game, but objectively speaking, I would say Elden Ring is the Souls-like genre at its very best in terms of exploration, weapons, build variety, boss variety, enemy variety, combat, like everything. I would say, objectively speaking, Elden Ring is the Souls-like genre at its very best. Is it my favorite? Is it the one I return to the most? Absolutely not for me. In my personal subjective opinion, I would say Dark Souls 1 is my absolute favorite, but I could see why many people don't like that one as much as the later entries. I wasn't a huge Sekiro fan. Well, that's fine. That's not even a Souls game. I mean, don't get me wrong, I thoroughly enjoy Sekiro. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that. I've been playing Sekiro in my free time. It's actually a pretty fun game. It's nowhere near as hard as everybody was saying. I got the hang of it pretty quick. I mean, I've played games similar to that before that rely on parry mechanics, so it really isn't as bad as everyone says. But at least there they try to shake up the visuals. I mean, sure, but like, Elden Ring has all of the types of visuals that Sekiro has to an extent. I mean, not all of it, like it doesn't have like the pretty pink flower village visuals that Sekiro has a good bit in the game. But outside of that, but most of the aesthetics that you would find in Sekiro, you could also find in Elden Ring to a certain extent, and I would say Elden Ring has the most visual variety out of any From Software game. You have lush green open fields, you have snowy areas, you have like volcanic towns underground, you have like the golden city of sorts with Altus Plateau and Landel. I'm not trying to bring out my inner like toxic Souls From Software fan energy here because everybody that knows me knows I absolutely hate the toxic From Software fans, but if I am to counter these points as objectively as possible, then there is honestly very little support for anything that was said in this review. Dark Souls 3 with Martin as marketing trick. No. Who was buying Elden Ring just because George R.R. Martin was involved? I don't think anybody did. Graphics bad, mechanics from DS2, again, you are just incorrect. Bugs and weird reuse of same mobs but with different appearance. I can agree with that. Yes, too many recycled enemies. A 0 out of 10 though. You're just... I honestly feel like half of these people are trolling. Boring and totally overrated. A little overrated, yes. But boring? I mean, what were you doing? Were you just riding around on Torrent? Did you not go fight any of the bosses? Worst purchase of the year, such disappointment after Sekiro. Again, Sekiro wasn't even a Souls game, man. Sure, it was made by From Software, but why do people lump Sekiro in with the Souls games? I mean, I understand it's, you know, it's like a combat-based game similar to Souls, but I kind of hate how people do that, because Sekiro is something, it's something else entirely. Sekiro is not even an RPG. It is just a combat game, and that's about it. Oh boy, this will be a good one. It's extremely hilarious to read these 10 out of 10 reviews and insanely supportive comments of this game as it's some kind of revolution in gaming. While in reality, games like... Wait, the punctuation wasn't even correct. Okay, whatever. While in reality, games like this are ruining games as an art form. If you want empty and boring open world, again, no proper grammar here. This should say if you want and empty and boring open world, full of meaningless monsters and insanely indescribably difficult combat and no quests. Good for you. I'm sorry, but there are so many accessibility features in this game. Elden Ring is hands down probably the third easiest Souls game. I would say the easiest Souls game would be Demon Souls, follow that up with Bloodborne. Bloodborne was really easy. I mean, there was like some annoying areas for me that I died to, but in terms of like any Souls game outside of Demon Souls, Bloodborne was the one that I died in the least. I mean, in Demon Souls, I literally only died one time, and that was my fault for falling off of the arena during the Man-Eater fight. That one was on me. Otherwise, I literally did not die once in that game. There's no reason you should die in Demon Souls. I mean, I had so much grass on me by the end of the game. I literally had like 50 health bars going into every fight. And then in terms of the other Souls games, yeah, Bloodborne was definitely second for least amount of times died. That game really wasn't that tough. Again, there was just more annoying bits than anything. But above that would definitely go Elden Ring. Elden Ring, there was so much in the game that you can utilize that it's definitely one of the easier ones. So calling the game indescribably difficult just shows your ignorance and your lack of ability to actually explore the world a bit and find some of the items, because it literally just hands you this stuff right at the start. You can get set up with summon ashes and a +3 weapon before you even set foot inside of that like entrance road up to the Stormveil Castle, along with a pretty decent greatsword in one of the carts outside of that same gate. So every time somebody says that this game is just indescribably difficult and it's too hard to overcome, it shows their ignorance and their lack of ability to explore and actually find the stuff that would make the game, you know, more accessible for them. Which, hey, that's okay. That just means that this game wasn't for them in the first place, if they're gonna be that narrow-minded and ignorant to the game. But stop pretending like it's best game ever. What is with these bad reviews and not being able to spell? It's okay to like bad games, enjoy, but leave actual real gamers out of it. First off, you can't just begin a sentence with the word but. I'm sorry, that doesn't how that work. You gotta put a comma here, and then you could put a but it would have to be lowercase. I hate this term real gamers. There's no such thing as a real gamer. If you play video games, you're a gamer. It doesn't matter if it's mobile games, PC games, console games, if you're still playing the Atari. If you're playing a video game, you're a gamer. Gamers who actually care about depth and quests and storytelling and fair combat. There is storytelling. There is fair combat. There is many quests, more quests than even most Ubisoft games, and there is also more depth than most games released nowadays. Leave these people out of your get good fetish. Okay, I agree with this last bit, like the From Software fans with their whole get good thing. I understand. You see, it's kind of sad because I looked into the origins of get good, and it actually used to have quite a wholesome and positive meaning, but then, you know, all these toxic elitists turned it into some, like, rub it in your face, toxic energy, like, just get good. I swear to God, every time somebody says get good, you have no idea how bad I just want to reach my fist through the— I do have to agree here, like, stop pretending like it's the best game ever. I mean, I feel like that just kind of comes with hype every time that a new game releases. Some people are like, oh, it's the best game ever, but I do have to agree, some people get so defensive over this game, like, what? You don't think it's the best game ever? What? You just start going into this, like, spasm, you start, like, seizing right in front of you, like, no, Elden Ring's the best game ever, oh my God, I can't take this. But again, this whole review is just, it's completely dumb. This game is essentially a boring and repetitive version of Dark Souls with some changes to item names. What? Okay, I bought this as I did actually like Dark Souls 3, but Elden Ring just feels and runs like crappy PS3 games. Seriously, my PS5 can't even manage to a stable 120 FPS. Homie, how many FPS do you need? What do you want to bet this dude's still playing on like a 32-inch 1080p 60 hertz TV and he can't even utilize the 120 FPS? At that stage, I returned it and bought another copy of Dark Souls 3. Why would you buy another copy of Dark Souls 3? Just go buy, like, Bloodborne or something. You already have a PS5. I don't know. Just go buy some. Why buy another copy of a game? You could have bought literally anything else. Another aspect I hate is the easiness. For the love of God, the only reason I remotely enjoy this is for the challenge. But you don't have to use those. Dude, oh my God. That's another aspect of the community I hate. Those dumb elitists that are like, this time you shouldn't be in the game, it makes it too easy, but like, it's optional. So how does it even affect you remotely in the slightest if it is an optional item? It is optional. If you don't want to use it, good for you. Just don't use it. Shut the fuck up and let people play how they want. Before I keep reading this review, let me go on a bit of a tangent. If you're watching this and you're a toxic From Software fan, nobody gives a singular fuck about your opinion. Nobody is seeking your validation as to whether my playstyle is valid or not. I don't care if you respect or validate my playstyle. If I want to use Mimic Tier and a bunch of big Unga Boonga power stancing swords, let me do that. If I want to fight the boss fists only at room level 1, let me do that. My point is, people should be able to play however however they want, whether that said easier playstyle, which is stupid because even if you choose a easier playstyle, these games are still difficult, or whether or not they choose a harder playstyle. Like, who cares? Just shut the fuck up and let people play their game. Nobody is seeking your validation. You're a nobody. Like, who are you again? Every time I see comments like that, I stopped responding to them. Like, I used to at least respond okay, and I'd heart their comment for the extra engagement in the algorithm, but at this point, I don't even have the time or energy for it. I read it and I move on. I don't even read the whole thing. I'll just start reading it and then I move on. Who is calling me? I don't know this number, but they won't stop calling me. Please stop. Yeah, I just hate the elitists. Like, nobody cares. We're just here to play some games. I'll play how I want, you play how you want. There's no need to attack people. All the time that these people spend attacking people, they could be spending playing the game. They could be fighting bosses, doing challenges, making videos on it, whatever they want to do, streaming it. You know, something actually productive to spread their love for the game, but instead they'd rather be toxic and bring down the fan base even more, which is part of why I considered stopping, like, making my channel From Software focused for a while, because the fan base was just too much. I can't do it. Like, during the height of me making Elden Ring content, I genuinely wanted to just stop right there and then and make something completely random to throw off the algorithm just so those people would stop commenting. I was seriously tempted to go play, like, a Lego game or, like, Minecraft or something. Like, the negative comments don't affect me, really. Like, they don't really get to me on a personal level. However, it's just annoying knowing that, like, you know, because YouTube is obviously what I'm most passionate about, and when something that I'm most passionate about is clouded with so much negativity, it's just like, it sucks, you know, because I look forward to reading comments, replying, and interacting with people, but when it's like 99% toxic, it's just like, ugh. That's still a problem to this day. I really hate the fan base for these games. Like, you know, there's some wholesome people and there's some nice folks. Like, most of you that I talk with on a regular basis down in the comments. Some of the names I can think of that I see down there often are like Devi1Admin, I think is how you say the name, Jake Armitage, and then MMole Like, folks like that, I see them down there all the time. They're super positive, being super helpful. Like, those are the types of people in the From Software community that I like to see. I love talking to them. Obviously, I'm not going to name the negative ones, but then there's like trolls that come through, whether they're commenting on my shorts or just other posts on social media or in the comments of other videos. It just makes me feel like I'm wasting my time to even read those comments. You know what I mean? Anyway, let's keep going through here. And when I have ghosts essentially fighting for me, it's no good. The art design is only sometimes nice. Other than that, it feels muddy brown world with a thin line of paint. I cannot even believe how someone think this might even have a slim chance of winning Game of the Year. Truly a terrible year for gaming as a whole. Huh. No chance of winning Game of the Year, right? Right? This game is a complete waste of time. All you do is fight boss after boss and they are insanely difficult. Somebody's never played a Souls game before. And there's about 1,000 different bosses in this game, which, no, that is not the case. There's actually 112, and that's the entire game. It is not the entire game. In the meantime, you just grind levels and roam around in this extremely empty open world. I guess it got so high reviews because it has almost no story or characters, so it didn't offend anyone. These are only games that will get high reviews now. Half of this wasn't even grammatically correct, so I couldn't understand half of it, but it's just more incoherent garbage, so we're not even here to talk about it. I'm sorry, but to call this an extremely empty open world, just, Sure, there's a few spots like Consecrated Snowfield that are absolutely empty and lifeless, but have you even explored Limgrave? Have you tried exploring at nighttime when, like, multiple different bosses can appear? Have you actually kept an ear out to see what things are around? Like, for example, I remember one time I was riding around in Limgrave, and all of a sudden I heard somebody talking. I was like, what was that? Then I circle back around, I hear this guy talking, he's like, hello, and I was like, what? So I ended up walking around for a solid 5 minutes trying to get as close as I could to, like, the dialogue, and then I finally narrowed down where it was supposed to be. And then from that point, I was kind of getting impatient. I was like, where is this voice coming from? So I started swinging my greatsword all around, and what do you know, I ended up hitting a tree, and this dude came to life, and we had, like, a whole conversation. I mean, granted, that's just one tiny example, but it's still pretty valid. Like, there are so many things like that out in the open world if you actually take the time to explore and look around and keep your ear out. Like, there's a lot to this game. People that say this is an extremely empty open world, I bet they haven't even seen half of what this game has to offer. I bet that they never found the hidden village in Liurnia of the Lakes. I bet they never found the underground town under the Volcano Manor. I bet they don't even know that areas like Teofa River even exist. Overrated AF, very simple and repetitive combat compared to the likes of Neo. Actually, Neo came after, like, From Software games, but okay. It has lore, but no gripping story, and the Shakespearean is honestly just too try-harding, not even a word. Legacy of Kain does a far better job at portraying an old dialect that also sounds actually good. Okay, I can respect that. Shout out to Legacy of Kain. This is a game that desperately needs to return. However, as for the rest of this, I don't know. Your opinion. That's your opinion. Alright, we got one big last one here. I'm honestly sick of reacting to these at this point. These are so brain dead, but we'll go here. Elden Ring, not Game of the Year, even though it definitely won. Elden Ring is one of the worst pieces of media ever created in terms of overhype, at least. If you praise the game as a masterpiece, then I refuse to give you any response respect as a gamer, again, you're a nobody. I'm not seeking your respect. I have no clue who you are, and I cannot give a shit less who you are. Apparently, it sold like 13 million copies. Actually, I know this is outdated now, but it's 20 million now. Congratulations From Software. Much deserved. But it has under 500,000 reviews on Steam, and hardly anyone is playing it. Do you not know how to use the player count function on Steam? It's still doing quite well. Seems like some rich loser just bought thousands of copies just to promote this trash. Exactly, some overhype happened with Cybertrash 2077. Okay, you know what? I take this personally because Cyberpunk 2077 is actually in my top 5 games of all time. That game is amazing, and it just goes to show this person probably didn't even play it if they're making some ignorant comment like this. Anybody who has actually taken the time to play Cyberpunk, especially since it's been fixed, knows that that game is absolutely amazing. Anyone with a brain, at least. Seems like most gamers just go with the flow and never think for themselves. I'll agree with that. In the age of the internet, most gamers never think for themselves. They just go off of whatever their favorite streamers are saying. It's pretty annoying. They're like, oh, this one is popular, so I start preaching it as well. Effing pathetic. I hate you all. Literally, you guys are ruining games more than anyone has ever ruined gaming. If this game wins Game of the Year, it will be most pathetic victory for art ever. Again, very bad grammar. And beyond the lackluster English speaking abilities, it's just, I don't know, more meaningless rambling and venting from a nobody on the internet, giving it a 0 out of 10, which again, giving this game a 0 out of 10, you know, I know reviews are subjective, but to an extent, I feel like giving something like Elden Ring a 0 out of 10 is just objectively not correct. I don't care if you give it a 2 out of 10, a 4 out of 10, okay, that's fair enough. But a 0? I don't know about that one. Again, a 2, a 4, I can respect that, whatever, that's your opinion, fair enough. But a 0, yeah, I don't know. Even a 1, okay, fine. You don't like the game, fair. But a 0? Yeah, these were some terrible Elden Ring reviews. If you would like me to go through and read some of the reviews on other Souls games like Bloodborne, Dark Souls, Demon Souls, whatever, I'd totally do it. I actually had a lot of fun doing this. That being said, I do think I lost a couple of brain cells during that, so I'm gonna go sleep and try to recoup some of those. But anyway, as always, a shout out to the patrons and channel members: Carmen's Fade, Grandma, Liberty Tab, Big Daddy Manny, Lupasaurus Rex, Razak, Polar, Raider, Webster, Lumats, Bianca, Spurgatory, Jupiter Cassant, Mellow, Lasking, Computer Magic, Mason Irving, TJ Y15, Flameless Heavy 1, Aaron Reynolds, and Unknown. Thank you guys for watching. Have an amazing day. Stay beautiful. I love you all. And remember, don't go hollow. Peace.